Hey guys, PokéDan here. The Pokemon anime has been running for well over 20 years, and in this time we've felt all sorts of crazy emotions. We've been happy, for instance, when Ash brought back all his Pokemon in the Sinnoh League, angry like when Ash actually lost the league, all 6 times, and we've been left in tears at times due to some of the moments that have taken place throughout the Pokemon anime. In fact, that's what we'll be focusing on in today's video, the sadder times in Pokemon. So today, you join me to count down the top 10 saddest moments from the Pokemon anime. But with that being said, be sure to let me know what are some of the saddest moments in your opinion down in the comments. Oh, and grab a tissue because, well, you might need it. Snap out of it. But with all that being said, let's get started with the video. Kicking off this list is a moment from the Pokemon X and Y anime, and it has to do with Serena. It's that scene where she cuts off her hair. Serena attends and performs in the Coumarine Pokemon Showcase, and during her performance, her Fennekin trips over the bow that Serena made it wear, and this ends up being the reason Serena loses the showcase. At first, Serena puts on a front showing that she's okay with the loss, when really, she isn't. Early the next morning, she goes to the pier with her Pokemon, and suddenly she lets out all of her emotions. And seeing her cry like this, it was just so sad to watch. She then proceeds to pull out some scissors from her bag and she cuts her hair. You may think that this was a bit strange of her to do, but in many cultures, cutting hair symbolizes change. And after that episode, she became a much better performer and trainer in general. With the music in this scene and Serena crying, it was for sure a very sad moment. In the Kanto episode titled Pikachu's Goodbye, Ash almost ends up releasing his partner Pokemon, and fair to say, it's pretty sad. In this episode, Ash's Pikachu finds other Pikachu, and seeing how happy his Pokemon is, Ash decides to leave it there. Pikachu doesn't quite understand what's happening, and as Ash runs away from his friend, a montage of their time together plays, and with it, also some pretty sad music. Watching this montage and seeing the time that the pair had already spent together thus far was pretty sad. But thankfully, Pikachu continued to journey with Ash, and I mean, could you imagine if Ash had released his partner? What would the anime even be like today? Would there be an anime? It's too sad to think about, and let's just hope that Ash and Pikachu always stay together. Coming in at number 8 spot is the tragic backstory of Ash's Pignite. As a Tepig, this Pokemon was owned by a trainer called Seamus, but after it lost in a Pokemon battle, Seamus deemed it not strong enough to be on his team, so he tied the Pokemon up to a post in Akumula town. Whilst Ash was visiting the battle club in this town, a small skinny Pokemon was seen stealing food, and due to its build, Ash reasonably thought that it was an Umbreon. Later in the episode, it turned out to be a Tepig with rope tied around its snout, and it was also covered in soot. It was sad to see this Pokemon in such a state, but thankfully it joined Ash's team where it was treated well. Quite often, Ash's Charmander and Chimchar's backstories are talked about when it comes to the sad moments. And yeah, I'm not saying they aren't sad because they certainly are, but I also think that the same can be said of Pignite's backstory. Next up is certainly a tearjerker. It's when Misty released Togetic. In the Hoenn anime, Misty appeared for a guest role and she brought with her the much-loved Togepi. In a 2-part episode, they visited the Mirage Kingdom, a place where they worshipped Togepi, and during their visit, A villain known as Colonel Hansen wanted to take over the kingdom. After quite a lot of action and battling took place, Misty's Togepi evolved into Togetic and it wanted to stay behind in order to protect the Togepi of Mirage Kingdom. Of course, this meant that it had to be released and it was such a sad moment. Misty had travelled with this Pokemon through Kanto and Johto, so it was for sure a sad goodbye. And I just had to mention it on this list because it was a moment that really hit me in the feels, and I'll always miss Misty's Togetic. Coming in at the number 6 spot is a moment from the episode Memories Are Made of Bliss. On Ash, Dawn and Brock's final day in the Sinnoh region together, the group reminisce about their journey, and being upset that things are about to change, Piplup gets emotional and then runs away. Worrying about Piplup just fleeing, the group of course starts a search party, and that's when Pikachu, Staraptor and Togekiss find Piplup running away. After catching up with him, Togekiss just holds Piplup in its wings as it cries. Piplup then weakly hits Pikachu and then both of the Pokemon start to cry. Togekiss then gives the upset Pokemon a big hug, and with the sad music that's playing throughout all of this, it just makes the moment even more sad. I really do feel for Piplup in this because change is often scary and it can be sad. But yeah, this was a moment in the Pokemon anime that really hit me in the feels. Next up is a moment from Pokemon Origins. It's the well-known story of Marowak and Cubone. When Red visits Lavender Town, he goes to a Pokemon daycare of some sort ran by Mr. Fuji. In this daycare, there is a Cubone who acts differently from the other Pokemon there. Red is then told what had happened to this Cubone, and it turns out that when it was a wild Pokemon, its home was invaded by Team Rocket, who were hoping to take and then sell rare Pokemon. When Team Rocket finds Cubone, its mother, Marowak, defends it, but sadly pays the ultimate price as it is killed by Team Rocket in the process. If this story wasn't sad enough already, later on in the episode, Red visits Lavender Tower where he comes face to face with a ghost. After using the Sylph Scope, Red sees that the ghost is actually Marowak, and at this moment, Cubone bursts into the room to give its mother one last send-off. Although this is not a moment from the main Pokemon anime, it's just as sad, and it, for me, had to be on this list. In the Kanto anime, the first wild Pokemon that Ash Ketchum caught was Caterpie. He trained with this Pokemon and got closer to it as it evolved into a Metapod and then once again into a Butterfree. They shared lots of memories together, and sadly, in the episode Bye Butterfree, Ash released this Pokemon so that it could fly off into the sunset with its partner. This episode is iconic for being a tearjerker. What makes this moment even sadder is that as Butterfree flies away, a montage plays of all the times this Pokemon and Ash were together, and once again this moment had some sad damn music. At this point, it's almost like the Pokemon anime enjoys toying with our emotions. I just hope that somewhere out there, Butterfree started a family and is happy. Coming in at the number 3 spot is another sad moment, and this time it's because of Team Rocket. In the episode titled A Poached Ego, a Pokemon hunter known as Rico wants to collect all the Ekans and Koffing, and Team Rocket's Arbok and Weezing stand strongly to make sure that the poison types don't get captured. Team Rocket see how important this is for their Pokemon and stand in as a decoy whilst Arbok and Weezing get away with all the poison types. So yeah, sadly Team Rocket had to release their Pokemon, and this was just one of the saddest goodbyes ever in the Pokemon anime. It was for the good of the poison type, so at least that's something. But at the same time, it's just a shame they had to be released because, let's face it, these are iconic Pokemon for Team Rocket. The Sun and Moon anime. the series that has arguably the most upbeat intro from any of the Pokemon anime series. You wouldn't think that an entry from this series of the anime would be up so high on this list, but there is one moment that had nearly everyone in tears. And I'm issuing a spoiler warning here, so 3, 2, 1, it's Stoutland's death. Before Ash captured his Litten, it was a wild Pokemon that collected food for its elderly friend Stoutland. Stoutland rarely went out to get its own grub due to it being pretty old, and this later on was the reason it left the anime. There was a tragic Alola anime episode where Litten came looking for Ash due to Stoutland's health decreasing, and later in this episode it sadly passed away. Seeing Litten's reaction to its friend's death was tear-jerking, and I'm not even embarrassed to say that I shed a tear at this moment. There was only one good thing that came out of Stoutland's death, and that is Litten joined Ash's team. But damn, this moment was so sad. Alright, so coming in at the number 1 spot on this video is one sad moment that everyone knows about, and it's Ash's death from the first Pokemon movie. When all hell breaks loose as Mew battles Mewtwo and all the clone Pokemon fight, in order to stop the battling, Ash runs in front of Mew and Mewtwo fighting and gets hit by some sort of psychic blast. After getting hit by these attacks, Ash quickly falls to the ground and turns to stone. Now as soon as this happened, Pikachu ran over to Ash, and after thundershocking him to wake him up, Pikachu starts crying, and then all the Pokemon and clone Pokemon start to cry as well, and this somehow revives Ash. This was the first Pokemon movie that I ever watched, and I remember seeing it and just feeling so sad over this character's demise. This is truly one of the saddest moments to ever come out of Pokemon. But anyway guys, with that being said, that pretty much wraps things up for this video. Next video will be much more upbeat, I promise, and if you did enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. Also, be sure to comment down below some other sad moments from the Pokemon anime that I may have missed. But with all that being said, for now, I've been PokéDan, you've been amazing, and I'll see you guys next time.